The morning sun cast long shadows across the bustling port of Seattle as Detective Marcus Rivera watched his four-legged partner, Rex, suddenly freeze mid-stride. The German Shepherd's ears shot upright, his powerful nose twitching with an intensity that Marcus had learned to respect over their 3 years together. What started as a routine cargo inspection was about to become something that would shake the entire police department to its core, and challenge everything Marcus thought he knew about hope in the darkest places. Rex had been Marcus's partner since the dog was barely 2 years old, rescued from a shelter where he'd been surrendered for being too energetic for his previous family. The irony wasn't lost on Marcus. That same boundless energy had made Rex one of the most successful narcotics detection dogs in the Pacific Northwest. But today, Rex's behavior was different. His usual methodical search pattern had given way to something more urgent, more desperate, as if he sensed something that went beyond drugs or contraband. If you believe in the power of second chances, in the unbreakable bond between humans and animals, and in the miracles that happen when we refuse to give up on those society has forgotten, please hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Positive Tales for more incredible stories of hope and redemption. The shipping containers stretched endlessly before them, each one a potential hiding place for the smuggling operation they'd been tracking for months. Marcus had been a detective for 15 years, but the past 2 had been the hardest of his career. His marriage had crumbled under the weight of long hours in dangerous cases, his teenage daughter barely spoke to him anymore, and he'd begun to question whether he was making any real difference in a world that seemed increasingly dark. Rex had become more than just his work partner. The dog was his anchor, the one constant source of loyalty and purpose in his life. As they moved deeper into the maze of containers, Rex's agitation intensified. The dog began whining softly, a sound Marcus had never heard from him before. It wasn't the excited bark that typically signaled a drug find, nor was it the alert stance that indicated danger. This was something else entirely, something that seemed to reach into the deepest part of Rex's soul and pull at emotions that Marcus didn't even know dogs could feel. Container after container yielded nothing, but Rex refused to give up. His paws clicked against the concrete as he led Marcus through the labyrinth, following a scent trail that seemed to grow stronger with each step. Other officers had already cleared this section hours earlier, dismissing it as empty, but Rex knew better. Dogs see the world through their noses in ways humans can barely comprehend, and whatever Rex was tracking had captured his attention completely. It was near the far edge of the port, in a section that had been scheduled for demolition, where Rex finally stopped. The container was unmarked, rusted, and appeared to have been abandoned for years. Most officers would have walked past it without a second glance, but Rex planted himself firmly in front of it and began to paw at the heavy metal doors. His whining had grown more insistent, and Marcus noticed something he'd never seen before in his partner's eyes: tears. Actual tears were forming in the corners of Rex's dark eyes as he looked up at Marcus with an expression that seemed to say, "Please, we have to help them." Marcus radioed for backup and the specialized equipment needed to cut through the container's locks. As the sparks flew from the cutting torch, Rex paced back and forth, his anxiety palpable. When the heavy doors finally swung open, the smell hit them first, not the acrid odor of drugs or the metallic scent of weapons, but something far more heartbreaking. It was the smell of fear, desperation, and human suffering. Inside the container, huddled in the furthest corner, were 12 children ranging in age from about 6 to 15. They were victims of human trafficking, transported like cargo across international borders, their small bodies curled together for warmth and comfort. They were malnourished, terrified, and had been trapped in that metal prison for what investigators later determined was nearly 4 days. Without food or adequate water, without proper ventilation, they wouldn't have survived much longer. But Rex had found them. Somehow, through all the competing smells of the industrial port, through the maze of containers and the dismissal of other search teams, this former shelter dog had detected their presence and refused to give up. As paramedics rushed to provide medical care and child services specialists began the delicate process of communicating with the frightened children, Marcus knelt down beside his partner and buried his face in Rex's fur. The rescue made international headlines, but for Marcus, the real miracle was watching Rex in the days that followed. The dog seemed to understand the magnitude of what he'd accomplished. During the investigation that led to the arrest of the trafficking ring, Rex worked with a renewed sense of purpose. And when they visited the children in the hospital, Rex was gentle beyond measure, allowing them to pet him and find comfort in his steady presence. The case changed Marcus profoundly. Seeing those children rescued, watching them slowly begin to smile again, witnessing the incredible intuition and compassion of his four-legged partner, it all reminded him why he became a police officer in the first place. Rex had saved those children's lives, but in doing so, he had also saved Marcus from the cynicism and despair that had been consuming him. If this story touched your heart, if Rex's determination and loyalty moved you, or if you believe that every life, human and animal, has the power to make a difference, please like this video and leave a comment below. Share it with others who need to be reminded that heroes come in all shapes and sizes, and that sometimes salvation arrives on 4 paws and with a wet nose. The shipping company donated a substantial sum to fund a new canine training facility in Rex's honor, and several of the rescued children, now in safe foster homes, asked if they could visit Rex. The bonds formed that day in that container created a family that transcended species and circumstances. Marcus and Rex continued their work together for many more years, but they never forgot the day that proved miracles still happen when we refuse to give up on those who need us most. Leave a comment below sharing your own story about a time when an animal showed you what true heroism looks like, because every act of compassion, no matter how small, has the power to change the world.